Hello everyone and welcome. We have a Libra full moon around the corner, so I thought it'd be a wonderful time to talk about Libra with her scales and finding what is true and fair and beautiful, balanced, and making the right choices, which also brings us to our flower essence we can open with, which is Scleranthus. And this is one of the 12 healers by Dr. Bach that have also been associated with the 12 signs of the zodiac. So Scleranthus, being connected to Libra, is the remedy for decision making. If you're at a crossroads, if you're trying to make up your mind, especially between two different things, if you're weighing your options, if you will. So our affirmation for Scleranthus is: I make choices and I take chances. I choose one direction toward many new possibilities. I trust that each decision is a seed for the future. I will grow and take risks. Well, I wonder if this is timely for you, if you're watching this close to the Libra full moon or at another time. I know I myself actually right before hitting record was going over a decision in my mind of like one or the other. So it's so funny. I hadn't quite made that connection that was what we're going to start talking about at the very beginning. So here we are, and yes, very timely. So perhaps in doing this, I work through these concepts as I'm recording it. It's not like prescripted or anything. I sort of look at the different elements that I'll talk about ahead of time and then just go for the journey. So maybe I'll make my own decision in my own way through this process. So if you have something like that on your mind, perhaps that'll happen for you too during this time together. So interestingly enough, the virtue associated with Libra is contentment. And Rudolf Steiner set up this idea of contentment leading to self-composure. So in the midst of, all of these different decisions and perhaps polarities, if we're looking at like kind of sort of binary things that pull us in one direction or another, forces that are upon us, working on us in this way, being able to find contentment in the center, exactly where you are at, no matter where you're at on your path, is in a way a prerequisite actually to being able to, I think, go forward on your path in a way that is pure and true and not motivated by external things like wanting power, money, fame, but actually being pulled forth with the true intention towards where you're meant to be headed, but having this contentment all along, even as you're facing, the trials and the choices and things that can often keep us from feeling content in the moment, which is actually related to the second flower essence, which is the one out of the 12 core heart remedies by FES that I like to associate also with the 12 healers and how they line up with the zodiac. And this one is Rock Fringe. And Rock Fringe is actually a research essence. So we don't have an affirmation written for it. We normally close with the affirmation with the second essence. We open with an affirmation and close with another one. So perhaps by the end of this session, we'll come up with our own affirmation. I'm not sure. We'll see when we get there. But Rock Fringe has to do with your life purpose. And it's about that energy and the revitalization that you feel when you're in line with your life purpose. I think one of the key signs is if you feel that, actually, if you feel it giving back to you as you're working, as you're giving of yourself, which is something I've experienced very recently in my life in working more with Waldorf teaching, actually, working with children in an intentional way with people who are also, very intentional, people I'm inspired by and feel lifted up by. And so although I'm working harder than I have in a way, in a different kind of way, working much harder, I'm also being given a lot of energy to do it. So Rock Fringe is in line with that, in finding the healing and the harmony and rebalancing yourself so that you are ready to move towards your life purpose. And interestingly enough, even if we're, moving towards something, this idea of contentment does really come into play because, again, it's like in feeling content, in feeling like there isn't anything that you personally need, like for yourself from it, you can actually make it more free, your actions, your energy, your decision making more free to be in line with the purpose rather than kind of stuck in or kind of, like a magnet moving towards actually what feeds your personal self or feeds what you personally desire on kind of a lower level. And contentment leading to self-composure, where you can really meet anything that you meet, no matter how challenging it is, with that central uprightness in place. So it's interesting in thinking about what it is that we desire and from where in us is that coming from, which leads us to our oracle card, which I pulled from the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild, and it is called Our Lady of the Abundant Garden. And it says, I provide life without limit. You have no need to fear loss or lack. For everything that dies, new life is created to supplant it. For every need that you have, there are ample channels through which that need can be fulfilled. I can provide all with wisdom, grace, and even joyful humor. You can find a way to delight in life and enjoy all the riches that are available to you if only you open your heart and release your fear. It is a habit, not reality, which keeps you uncertain. Trust in me, my child, and be nourished in my living garden of love. One thing that I'm thinking of in being content with the here and now and having, like I said, that central sort of pillar, it's like when you think of the scales of Libra, of weighing the options and having the choices or being able to compare the things or determine whatever it is you're trying to determine. It's actually what is necessary to be able to do that is that central pillar in the middle, the center point of the scales, for that to be even and fair and possible. It's like you need that. So it's interesting. It's not saying like that that you are just stagnant and you don't make the change or you don't make a decision or you don't go after the thing. I think you do, but it's from where do you do it? So I'll keep going with this oracle card. It says, if we are so concerned with our needs for survival, we can become blind to how much we already have. It may never seem to be enough for us to feel really safe, happy, and secure. Or perhaps you have trust in your heart, and yet you are also tired of feeling as though you have to work so very hard to get by financially, or that it takes so much for you to feel supported in your work. Or perhaps you feel you have to give so much love and support to get even the smallest amount of attention or affection in return. The Mother comes to us with a message that we need not fear for our survival, that she has our back and is protecting and supporting us. We have so much already and can open to receive so much more as we let go of the fear of loss and lack that shuts us off from the universal flow of abundance. In the Mother's garden, there's always a blooming harvest. If part of the garden is in decline, it is because energy is thriving and flowing into another part of the garden. There is always abundance. It is always in flow. All we need to do is open to her and trust as we come to understand her ways of constant flowing energy. In thinking of that flowing energy too, it's like, the rebalancing of the scales. How like the scales aren't meant to be stagnant. They're meant to be kind of going back and forth with each other, which I think is a dance that we do in life a lot. And again, it's from where are we doing it? She is asking now that you recognize that your fears are habit rather than the reflection of a reality in which you must fear. Humanity is evolving together, but there are forerunners in the evolution of the human race that help shift the memories of the body that have been programmed into survival mode. to shift these memories into a place of trust, of curious surrender to see what happens, what unfolds, and therefore become very responsive to divine guidance, allows the human race to heal, to become more creative than reactive. Then humanity can join the divine celebration unfolding upon the planet, rather than reenacting old painful wars. This oracle comes at a time when all those around you might be in fear and reaction because of a recent trauma or situation, and you are needed to be the one who stays in your heart and in trust of the most divine plan. You might be the one through which the mother wants to pour her assistance because you are capable of remaining open to her and not closing down in distrust or shock. Our Lady of the Abundant Garden comes to you with a gift of abundance, and you are asked to remain open and to know that she has endless provisions through which she blesses the unfolding spiritual destinies of all her children. This oracle comes with a special message. If you've been wondering if something will take off and flourish or thrive, the answer is yes. So maybe that'll help with your decision making if you have something that's on your mind in either or. Something I found interesting about that actually, where it says it comes at a time when all those around you might be in fear and reaction because of a recent trauma or situation. And again, it makes me think of this image of like the scales, and say that the scales are totally tipped in an unbalanced way. If you react from the place of the unbalance, of the trauma, of whatever it might be, you might actually then end up just tilting it in the opposite direction, also equally unbalanced, versus if you react from the center, that's in bringing things back into balance. So I see that center point as being the contentment, even if all is not well, even if it's all is unbalanced and there's much to do, much to be done, you're content in the journey and you're content in where you're at in the journey, then that contentment brings self-composure there at the center, ready to meet it, ready to bring it back into balance. We've slowly been working through The Light on the Path by Mabel Collins in this series, and kind of going along with, it's interesting, if you're listening to this in order of the zodiac signs, you might be getting these out of order. I'm doing them as they come and as they make sense, actually, with sometimes we're going across the wheel to the opposite zodiac sign because we're working with the full moon, like today. So I'm looking at the next ones, at least in the order of recording this. The next ones on our list from The Light on the Path, which I think is, very fitting for talking about desire and where we're making our decisions from and what it is we're going towards. So when I first read this, I thought, okay, I have to think about this for a while. So you might react that way to this. It's not exactly how it sounds at first, which is really, it's really intriguing. But these are the next 3 rules. It says, desire power ardently, desire peace fervently, desire possessions above all. But those possessions must belong to the pure soul only, and be possessed therefore by all pure souls equally, and thus be the especial property of the whole only when united. Hunger for such possessions as can be held by the pure soul, that you may accumulate wealth for that united spirit of life, which is your only true self. The peace you shall desire is that sacred peace which nothing can disturb, and in which the soul grows as does the holy flower upon the still lagoons. And that power which the disciple shall covet is that which shall make him appear as nothing in the eyes of men. So to break it down, it's like a lot of us, I think, are motivated in some way or another by power and control, feeling in control of things, having things our way. And this one, desire power ardently, and that power which the disciple shall covet is that which shall make him appear as nothing in the eyes of men. These things are kind of flipped in the spiritual world, or they're flipped as we raise ourselves into this, into the future, it's not what we think it is. It actually is the opposite in some ways. And then I feel like this one, desire peace fervently, that this description really aligns with contentment. It's saying, the peace you shall desire is that sacred peace which nothing can disturb, and in which the soul grows, as does the holy flower upon the still lagoons. And lastly, because I really think this aligns with this card of abundance that we just read from the Mother Mary Oracle, and how we often think of abundance and what we strive for materially or financially, monetarily, and many of our decisions, especially ones to do with our life purpose, can get caught up with this, I think. So again, it says, desire possessions above all, but those possessions must belong to the pure soul only, and be possessed therefore by all pure souls equally. So it's not just ours, it belongs to the whole. And thus be the especial property of the whole only when united. Hunger for such possessions as can be held by the pure soul, that you may accumulate wealth for that united spirit of life, which is your only true self. So I'm really contemplating this idea of, possessions, what is possessed by the pure soul. And one of the first things I thought of were, the capacities, or like the spiritual progress that we make, the steps that we take, and bringing us further along. What is that like to sort of possess the next, whether it's something you're awakened to, something that you've overcome, something that you've grown within yourself. But again, it has to be united with, it's almost like you are gaining these things for the whole. Like in doing so, you actually create a pathway or open up a doorway of possibility, or kind of add something to the collective consciousness. And having that as your orientation, like, how am I doing this for the whole? I think that is perhaps what it's talking about here with making your intentions pure. And one more thing that I want to add about Libra and this feeling, this idea of balance and sort of finding your center, is that I love how Libra season and now even the Libra full moon, which is on the opposite side of the wheel, either way lands near the equinox, near that time of balance of light and dark, on either side of the wheel of the year, or either side of the earth, depending on which hemisphere you're on. So I think something that can really readily bring us into contentment, especially if you're feeling far from it, and especially if this is a practice that you cultivate over time, it will become more and more accessible to you when you need it, but that is a practice of gratitude. So I thought that this journal prompt would be really fitting for this time, the one for Libra, that I wrote a while back, but I enter them anew every time, so I wasn't, it's I'm not really thinking exactly about what the topic is going to be when the prompt was written, certainly. So it's all related though through the signs, and so here we are. The journal prompt is: what is a person that you would like to spend quality time with? Someone who makes you feel the most like yourself, that you feel more full and in more balance when you're around. Imagine what that quality time might be like in an ideal scenario. Write a note of appreciation to this person without the pressure of sending it, although you may in fact want to when you're done. And the card pull is: what might remind me of a person I'm grateful for in my life? So I love this because there's also, with Libra being right across from Aries, there's this idea of relationship in Libra. That's different. Relationship, marriage, partnerships, versus Aries being the individual. So this is kind of bringing that gratitude practice also into that part of Libra, to being about relationships and those close people in our lives. But if someone doesn't immediately come to mind, you can use this card pull as coming up with a person for that. But I also really appreciate this. We can feel gratitude for every aspect in our lives and everything that is around us and surrounds us. But especially as we're moving in this direction, finding that gratitude for a person will help orient us towards love, which is really that is the direction that we're going in. So I got the 10 of Wands as my card pull, and the person that this actually immediately made me think of, which she's gonna be like, wait, why does this make you think of me? Her name is Kitty, and she's a dear friend of mine. And the 10 of Wands made me think of her because she always has such strength. It's like she can carry so much in her life. And it's something that I've always really admired about her, is her ability to like sort of strongly carry the loads that she does, still with like passion and inspiration and that like fiery spark. And maybe I can take a moment to speak about my friendship with her. Some of you listening to this might know her as Glamburger. My friendship with her, gosh, it's been so many years. And it started with a mutual friend of ours who, he's he's one of those people that had many different dates and different girlfriends. And I hope it's okay I'm talking about this, oh my goodness. But so I met people through him, but Kitty was the one who really stuck. Like not with him necessarily, but like with me and with the rest of our art community. We're like, okay, she's staying with us no matter who the guy, like who you decide to date. She's now our friend, and there's nothing you can do about that. And she and I have been through so much together with different like phases of life. And something I really appreciate about her is that she's the kind of friend that I know, no matter how much time it's been and no matter what phase of life we're at, she will always be there. Like we can pick up right where we left off, but also from right where we are. There's no guilt of like, oh gosh, we like lost touch for a little bit. There's nothing like that. There's no like sense of, it's not like out of obligation. It's always divine timing when we're like called together and reunite, I'd say. And also something that, I found a lot in the past with female friendships that weren't quite what I thought they were. Sometimes that can come from, I don't know, like weird competition or something that I actually wouldn't expect was going on with the other person, but then it would be clear later that it was. And Kitty, my goodness, through it all, we've never encountered any kind of weirdness like that. Like it's always been pure, and it's always been total acceptance of who we are at any given moment, and our friendship endures. Do you know what I mean? Kitty also, just as a person, she's so giving, and she's really powered through anything she's had to face in her life for her family. And like I said, she's kept that creative and magical spark alive no matter what. She can see the magic all around her in any circumstance. So that's my little shout out to Kitty, and hopefully inspiration to you as you think about who this might be, calling you to give your gratitude towards, or even just, think about how you're grateful for that person. So that leads us back to our closing flower, which is rock fringe. And I wonder, one idea that just came to my mind is if in finding, your right vocation, that I think that Buddhist principle, right vocation, if in finding your right vocation, or in finding your life purpose, if it feels a bit like that, like finding that really good dear friend, dear relationship in your life that is just right, and you want to give towards it, and it gives back to you. So I'm going to, on the fly, come up with an affirmation for rock fringe, since we don't have one. Like I said at the beginning, it's a research flower essence, so it's still in the works, being researched, and there isn't an official affirmation written by FES yet for it. I just love their affirmations, but I'll do my best. So let's see. How about rock fringe? I feel energy of rejuvenation and replenishment as I face the daily tasks and greater vision that lead me toward my purpose. I greet the challenges I come upon like a dear friend, with the light to see the truth clearly and the fire that gives me energy to meet it, with gratitude towards where I am and what the task is I have chosen. All right, thank you all. Happy full moon if you're watching this ahead of the full moon, and I will see you next time.